In my Sublime text, I've defined a snippet that automates the creation of a new empty React Native component because it's something I find myself doing fairly often. I trigger it by typing RNC, or React Native Component, and then the tab key. Notice that once my snippet is inserted, the component name is automatically highlighted, allowing me to rename it. When I change the field text, it also changes the name of the component in the export line at the bottom. And if I press tab again, it cycles to the next field that I've defined, allowing me to leave in some default text or delete my placeholder entirely. Let's learn how to build this. To create a new snippet, create a new XML skeleton with the snippet tag and save the file as rncomponent.sublimesnippet. You need to use this file extension if you want Sublime to understand it as a snippet. Incidentally, you can also use a built-in shortcut to produce a similar skeleton snippet by going to Tools, Developer, New Snippet. A snippet contains 4 elements. First, we define the tab trigger that Sublime will use to detect our snippet. In our case, we just want to type RNC. Then we can define a description which will be used by Sublime in our list of snippets under Tools, Snippets. Now let's add the contents of our snippet. We use the CData syntax to denote the contents. So I'll add a content tag and then the CData tag. And now I'll copy in the React Native component that I already have as our initial snippet. Let's test it out. We'll create a new file, type rnc tab, and we have our generic component. But it can't yet do any of the fancy tricks that we showed at the beginning. So let's add the ability to define the component's name right when the snippet is inserted. To do this, we'll swap the component name with a placeholder, which in Sublime is a $sign and a number corresponding to the order in which the field will be filled in. So we'll call our component name $1 and place it in the class definition and in the export line. What if we wanted to find a default component name? Sublime lets us provide a default value for each placeholder. And if we define our component name as myComponent, this value, or whatever value we later replace it with, will automatically be mirrored in the export line. Let's try this out. Now we'll do the same for our default contents, but this time we'll use $2 so that the user can use the tab key to fill this in next. To complete our snippet and make it more usable, we'll restrict its scope to JavaScript files. We can check Sublime's scope definition at any point by typing Ctrl-Shift-P on a Mac or Ctrl-Shift-Alt-P on Windows. And if we do that inside a JavaScript file, it tells us that it's source.js. So we can now use that syntax to restrict our scope to JavaScript files. Now if we create a new XML file, the syntax will not work there, but it will work on our JavaScript file. And that's all you really need to create snippets. As a practice exercise, try recreating a snippet that I made for ES6 fat arrow functions. The snippet is triggered by typing 2 brackets and pressing tab, and then it allows you to define a single argument and a return value.